What first got you excited about blockchains? Think about it. Oh wait. I bet it wasn't multi-million-dollar hacks, exposed data, or finding somewhere safe to store your seed phrase. Was it? Maybe it was the idea of decentralizing a broken financial system. Maybe it was imagining a world where people own their own data and get to sharing the value it creates. Or maybe it was the promise of a fundamentally better way of connecting, communicating, and transacting. The next phase of the internet that empowers us instead of exploiting us. So why hasn't that happened yet? Why are we still living with the same broken system that blockchains promise to fix? It's because blockchains can't keep a secret. Enabling open, transparent systems was only the first half of the challenge. For blockchains to really change the world, they also have to be able to protect our sensitive data when it matters. And that's why we built Midnight, to bring down the final barrier to mass adoption and unlock the full potential of the decentralized web. Let's build the internet we deserve, together.
Hold on, I'm muted. I was muted, but welcome to the breakdown. Welcome. Okay, just that. Put that damn boom. All right, I'm live. I'm back. Almost, not almost. I got covered up by 30 inches of snow. Shout out to the Northeast that came around the Northeast and buried us with tons of snow. Tons of snow, man. Holy shit. I've never seen snow like this in my life. I've never seen snow like this in my life. But welcome to the breakdown. I'm back. It is Tuesday, February 24th, 2026. It is 12:28 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes, I am late. Yes, I am 100% late. And that is because every single thing here went down. Okay. And I'm not talking about here within the studio. I'm just talking about everywhere around here. Network connections have not been working. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. Yes. Was I frustrated? 100%. I was frustrated. 100% I was frustrated. But shout out to everybody tuning in from Twitter. Shout out to, I'm not calling it X no more. It's just Twitter. Okay. People are talking about why am I giving shout outs to X? Why am I out here promoting drugs and stuff? I'm like, what are you talking about? It's X, formerly known as Twitter. So I'm saying Twitter from now on. Yes, I did shovel. Somebody made a comment in the crowd. Did I shovel? Yes, I shoveled. Did I use a snowblower? No, I didn't. You know what I used? These arms, these hands. Okay. And I was picking up snow. I was picking up snow like nobody's business. That's right. I wanted that workout. 5 hours. 5 hours. I woke up today. I couldn't feel my body. And that's not because of my age. That is not because of my age. But welcome to the breakdown, episode 670, sponsored by Midnight. When we talk about privacy, we have to go ahead and include Midnight in that conversation. Midnight is, listen, Charles is going all out with the team to go ahead and build a network that protects us. Think about that for a second. Privacy is big. And speaking of privacy, shout out to Cake Wallet. Cake Wallet. Cake Wallet. If you haven't heard of the wallet, I would suggest you go to cakewallet.com and learn about it. Been building for a very, very long time in this space. Bull market, bear market, no matter what market, Vic and the team has been out here, so shout out to them. Also, Poly Market. That's right, the official prediction market of the DG brand. That's right. Anything DG. That's right. Anything DG. By the way, I want to see more hearts on TikTok. I want to see more hearts and more reshares. I want to see more reshares everywhere. Okay. It's time for you guys to work. Okay. Time for you guys to work. You want me to come on here every day? Got to work for it. I'm not playing. I was about to say I'm just playing. No, I'm not playing. I'm serious. I'm serious on that. Anyway, lots to talk about, right? Market. Bitcoin keeps on going down. Everybody's praying for 40,000, right? Everybody's talking about 40,000, 30,000. This cycle obviously has been a little bit tricky. And before I get into that, I have Alex coming on. Alex from Project 11 coming on at 12:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So hopefully I can go ahead and get this in the next 8 minutes. And I'm talking about the monologue. Look, you got people that are going out on social media and even on mainstream media, or whether it's TV or magazines or outlets, and they're talking about Bitcoin's going to 30,000, Bitcoin's going to 40,000. Usually I look at these things, previous cycle, usually I would look at all this stuff and say, hold on. If everybody's on, and it seems like everybody's on this, that's it. Like if you gauge the pulse of the industry, it's bad. Like you got people quitting. You literally got people quitting. You got people going to AI, which is not bad, but you got people just. It seems like they're leaving. They've given up. They're like, yo, there is absolutely no way this stuff is coming back. Absolutely no way that we will see crypto make a comeback. People, literally, people are defeated. I've gotten DMs like, Dave, what do you think is happening? What do you think is going to happen? And the only thing I can say is, what do I think is going to happen? The same thing that happens all the time. I've had disagreements. I have had discussions where I've disagreed with individuals, adult-like conversations, of course. All coins have been, let's break it all down quickly. Bitcoin obviously has been retracing. Meanwhile, the stock market, equities, whatever you want to name, all going up. Even today, I went ahead and looked at the stock market, NASDAQ, the Dow, all going up. All going up, and Bitcoin is going backwards. And that makes people question. That makes people question. And they're like, you know what? What am I doing here? Why am I in why do I want to stay in crypto with all this stuff happening? Maybe I should go into something else. I've said this before. All coins, by the way, been in a bear market since 2022. This is the longest bear market for altcoins. That's what I believe. I'm going to go with that. I will go with that. All coins have been in a hella bear market. I think this entire industry has been in a bear market. But also, this is what you get when you pray for institutions, respectfully, for institutions and banks to come into play. Some will say that, the big boys are buying OTC, which they most likely are. Not even most likely, they are buying OTC. And then some people have a theory that they're buying OTC and then they're dumping on spot. Could be happening. Dumping on spot, applying massive pressure. You guys are getting scared. You're losing conviction. You're losing faith in this industry. And then they go ahead and buy lower, buy cheaper, and they continue to make profit. I have talked about this ever since I started podcasting, ever since I started to get on this microphone and look into this camera and talk about crypto. A lot of you guys prayed for institutions to come in. And I said, this is exactly what was going to happen. You are playing against the sharks. We are goldfish. We know about crypto. Don't get me wrong. A lot of us know about crypto. We know how blockchain works, and we finally realize what money. We know a lot of this. But at the end of the day, they are smarter. And they will apply pressure. They will suppress prices. They will do everything possible to get you out so they can buy lower. My strategy, to me personally, if you believe in crypto, by the way, if you believe in crypto, my strategy is very simple. Buy Bitcoin or buy any oversold asset that you like and hold. When it's red. Because I've yet to meet somebody that has made billions of dollars in the green. You buy in the red, you sell in the green. It's that simple. Today I'm not going to be sarcastic. Today I'm not going to joke around. Today is a day where I am looking into this camera and I'm telling you, here's my State of the Union. Okay, here's my State of the Union speech. And that is, if you really believe in crypto, if you really believe that crypto is destined to go to levels never seen before, if you believe in this generational wealth transfer, if you believe that Bitcoin is a generational asset, if you believe that a lot of these altcoins do solve a use case, if you believe that people love the memes because people do, people love memes, the world is a meme, life is a meme, people relate more with memes than they do with code because they don't understand code. If you believe in this entire ecosystem, then you shouldn't be scared. If you don't believe in this ecosystem, if you have not studied, if you do not understand it, then I understand why. I understand why you are scared right now. 100% understand. Maybe you belong in the stock market. Maybe you belong buying, I don't know, Pokemon cards and trading them. I don't know. Maybe you belong doing something else. But this is the State of the Union speech from me to tell you that if you do believe, then there's nothing to be scared of. It is simple. You buy at all levels. I buy at all levels. Actually, do whatever the fuck you want to do because I'm not your financial advisor. But at the end of the day, I'm buying at all levels. Okay, if people think, for instance, right now, if Bitcoin is at 63, I don't know where it is right now as we speak, but if Bitcoin's at $63,000, I will buy here, and if it goes to $40,000, which every one of you guys are claiming that it's going to, then I will buy all the way into the 40 range. I will DCA there. I don't believe it's going to 40. But if it happens to go to 40, then I can go ahead and buy there also. That is the best, I believe, is the best strategy that you can have in this game. If you're going to start guessing, okay, because everybody is taking all this data and they're looking at it and they're trying to figure it out. If everybody knew what the fuck was going to happen, people would be playing the lottery. They would not be playing in crypto. I'm telling you this right. If you knew exactly what was going to happen, you would be playing the lottery. I can tell you, I can look at certain things and I think this is where it might go, but I have no clue where it's going. And a lot of people don't know where the fuck it's going either. I can come close using actual data made up of 7 to 8 years of numbers that have been put on paper, but to hit it exactly is impossible. To try to catch the bottom or to try to catch the top is crazy. Be conservative in your approach. By the way, a lot of you guys have never seen this kind of money in your life. This is why a lot of you guys round trip. You are unable to go ahead and leave certain assets and take profit because your greed kicks in. That is what happens. Your greed kicks in. So I am saying, if you believe in crypto, then put your money where your mouth is. If you don't, leave. Go become an AI expert, and I'm saying that respectfully. Go into AI, go into stocks. This isn't for you, man. The craziest part about crypto is this. You are new. You're still new here. So what I mean by that is you have this industry has been around 15 plus years. You can be first to market with everything. There are so many things that you can solve. Like there are so many things that you can build out here. You have the opportunity to do so. So all I'm saying is sit back for a second. Assess your portfolio. That's number one. Assess what your portfolio looks like. Get rid of the things. Get rid of the things that are absolutely doing nothing. And start going into things that you know are oversold at this point. Bitcoin, absolutely oversold. Some of the top altcoins, absolutely oversold. At some point, they're going to stop suppressing the entire market here. If you think it's not being suppressed, you're crazy. By the way, all this good news, right? All this good news in crypto that we talk about, that I talk about consistently when I come on here, good news, good news, good news. And you're watching and nothing's moving. And you're like, what the fuck is happening? Why is there good news here? Crypto going backwards. No, not much news in the stock market, traditional markets, that shit's just going parabolic. What's going on? Patience. Patience, my friends, patience. I think we need some bad news. I actually think we need some bad news in the markets. I think we need some bad news in crypto because all we have gotten in crypto is great news and nothing has happened. Maybe it's time we have some bad news. We need the Jim Cramer effect. We need some bad news in crypto. This is probably the craziest cycle, by the way. This is I don't even want to call it a cycle, but this is probably the craziest time in crypto where you have so much happening, so much good happening, and like the prices don't reflect. The prices just don't. But again, the people that are patient will win out. 100%, the people that are patient will win. Those who aren't patient will lose. And they'll be watching on the sidelines. They'll be frustrated. They'll be trolling. They'll be angry. They'll be opening up. I don't know what the fuck they're going to be doing. But they will not be in the green. They'll be praying for an airdrop. That's it. Also, it's time to fix the way that we transact with crypto here in the United States of America. Trump needs to go ahead and take off capital gains or taxes on purchases. Like, imagine I'm paying taxes on every purchase. It doesn't even make sense. That's why people are holding. That is why people are holding. There is no incentive. Seriously, there is no incentive to actually spend. You're getting taxed on every single. You go buy coffee, get taxed. It makes no sense. You want to be the crypto capital of the world. You need to go ahead and at least start with that. Take taxes off of purchases when using crypto. That is crazy. That is crazy. Anyway, welcome to the breakdown, episode 670. Now I know some of my diehard Republicans are going to take this comment wrong, but the only people that have been getting rich is the Trump family. Hey, I gotta say, I gotta call for what it is, man. I gotta call for what it is. Now you expect it though. You expect that kind of stuff to happen. That kind of position, man. I mean, Dad's the president, but that. Hey, listen, I'm a Republican, but I can say it. I can say it. It's true. It's true. They legit walked away with. What do they have now? Like what? Wait, hold on. Barron is worth like $150 million. How much of that has come from crypto? Listen, I don't. This is not disrespectful language, by the way. This is me just saying like they've taken advantage of their opportunity. Yes, they're going to know a lot of people. Yes, they're going to be able to work with a lot of people within this space and outside of it. Yes, they will make more money than you can. This is where I continue to say, like, these people that you guys wanted to come. I had a fight with Hanak about this. 2-3 years ago, Hanak was screaming. Hanak, if you guys know him from Twitter, from crypto, he was screaming, "Oh, I want the institutions to come. I want the banks to come." And I'm like, no, you don't. You don't want them to come. You absolutely do not want them here. I also think there's another problem here. Obviously, you got a lot of paper products coming out for Bitcoin. A lot of paper products have come out for I said derivatives. I used to talk about this on Clubhouse. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Clubhouse, but I used to talk about this very subject on Clubhouse. I used to say that the moment that the big boys come in here, they are going to make derivatives of Bitcoin, paper products, all this stuff. And the 21 million supply of Bitcoin will be expanded because of that, with paper products, with derivatives. And it will hurt. It will hurt. You guys are looking at it, and you know what? I know you guys sit back and you're like, what the hell? Michael Saylor is buying $500 million of Bitcoin, and he's buying 50 million the next week. And then you got Tom Lee, who's buying Ethereum. While, by the way, and I'm going to call it out. It is what it is. If Vitalik is not going to want to come on after this, then so be it. But Vitalik, this is kind of the wrong time to be dumping or sell. I should say selling. I don't want to say dumping, because I think the language also has to change here. I think the language in our industry needs to change, because people get sell shamed for selling. I am just saying, you are the leader. You are literally the leader of Ethereum. People look up to you. And here you are. And a lot of people are depending on you to become multimillionaires because they've gone into Ethereum based on you and how smart you are. And here you are, just, and I know it's for charity. You're selling for charity. I get the whole thing, but the timing couldn't be worse. The timing couldn't be worse. And people will say, David, why are you saying this? Because you, especially my staff, they're like, why are you saying this shit? Because you might not get Vitalik on now. If I'm not allowed to speak my mind the same way that people speak their mind on me, then I shouldn't even have a show. These are my thoughts. And it's constructive criticism, okay? That's all it is. If I am his PR manager, I am telling him, what are you doing? That's what I would say. What are you doing? Ethereum, you got Tom Lee buying, right? Think about this. Tom Lee's buying Ethereum. You're selling it. And Tom Lee has no other choice, man. Tom Lee has no other choice but to keep buying. He's trying to flywheel. He's trying to do what Saylor's doing, but with Ethereum. And, you know, right now, Saylor, obviously, and Tom Lee are down. I do believe that they will rebound. And this year, I believe this year, we will see crypto make a phenomenal comeback. I still stand on that 100%. Some people have disagreed with me, but like, I stand on the fact that we will have a tremendous comeback. And the real assets will rise. I still believe that real memes will also pop off. Not a subject that a lot of people understand. A lot of people never understood why I would go on national TV and talk about memes. You guys do not understand. They really do onboard a lot of people into this space. That's why I talk about them. Not all of I'm not talking about the zombie tickers that are launched every 15 minutes and they go to zero within 7 minutes. I'm talking about like Doge and Shiba Inu and whatever, like Pepe. Like, these are the things that I'm talking. I'm recognizable memes that are used in comments. Okay, now I'm particularly want to particularly talk about that. The memes that are used in comments. When you go on TikTok while you're doom scrolling, okay, and you look into these comments and you see a meme, and some of these memes are not even on chain. These are the memes that will be popular. These are the memes that one day will be put on chain, or they're already on chain, but these people that are posting these memes don't know anything about crypto or know anything about on chain. No, I'm not. I don't go on to national TV networks because there's nothing. Every single time I go on there, they want to criticize Bitcoin. I can't cuss the way I want to. And they're not there to actually, mainstream media is not there, in my humble opinion, to actually educate the public on cryptocurrency and how great this space is. That's why a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouths, or they look differently at this space than we do. mainstream media has conditioned people to think that illegal acts are done in crypto, that this entire thing is a Ponzi. That is what mainstream media has done. They have conditioned people to think that way. And institutions, in my humble opinion, have taken an opportunity to say, you know what? Come with us. If you like crypto, come through us, buy through an ETF. That's what they've done. They play, I'm telling you right now, the institutions they play the game right. They know how to market, they know how to brand. I've said this for so long. Again, I'm going back to it. I've said this for 10 years. This space, the crypto industry, does not know how to market. These projects do not know how to market their brands. So when you look at let's say you look at the stock market, I'm going to be repetitive. When you look at the stock market right now and it is rising and retail is buying, right? There's retail that's buying into these things through Robinhood and stuff. And you're asking yourselves, hold on, you're saying retail's not here yet. You're telling me retail's not here yet, but yet they're participating in the stock market. They're buying, I don't know, they're buying Tesla and they're buying all this. Yeah, because it's marketed correctly. People know what Tesla is. When Elon Musk comes onto a stage and he presents a product, when he's presenting a product, he's not going through the language in terms of computing language that they use to go ahead and design it. He doesn't do that. He showcases FSD. If you guys are into Tesla, you know full self-driving. He showcases how it works. Most people just want to know how this works and how this benefits them. That's it. That is it. How does it benefit them? When you come to crypto, name me a project that breaks it down in layman's terms. Go ahead. I've watched every single one of these projects. I've been here for so long. I've watched every single one of these projects tell me they're great and they start going into C++ mode and Python and all. You got 7 seconds to capture the crowd. 7. Apple never talks about what they use to create a product, okay? It's an event. It is an event. That's why right now, the only thing that is visible is Bitcoin. That's it. And that is because you got big boys in here now that know how to market and brand. Not from the Web3 world, air quote, but from the Web2 world. They know how to package products correctly. Anyway, welcome to the Breakdown, episode 6-7, sponsored by Midnight. Sponsored by Midnight. We're going to have Alex on in the next minute here from Project 11. We're going to talk about quantum computing, man. We are going to talk about that. This is necessary. There's a lot more talk about it now with AI and your AI agents, Claude all over the place. Everybody's talking, well, when is Bitcoin going to get cracked, and is crypto in general going to get cracked? I've been listening to all you guys talk in your spaces, but we'll be right back right after this commercial break.
What first got you excited about blockchains? Think about it. Oh, wait. I bet it wasn't multi-million-dollar hacks, exposed data, or finding somewhere safe to store your seed phrase. Was it? Maybe it was the idea of decentralizing a broken financial system. Maybe it was imagining a world where people own their own data and get to sharing the value it creates. Or maybe it was the promise of a fundamentally better way of connecting, communicating, and transacting. The next phase of the internet that empowers us instead of exploiting us. So why hasn't that happened yet? Why are we still living with the same broken system that blockchains promised to fix? It's because blockchains can't keep a secret. Enabling open, transparent systems was only the first half of the challenge. For blockchains to really change the world, they also have to be able to protect our sensitive data when it matters. And that's why we built Midnight, to bring down the final barrier to mass adoption and unlock the full potential of the decentralized web. Let's build the internet we deserve, together.
Welcome back to the breakdown. Now we're gonna bring on Alex. Man, I love technology. I gotta tell you, I love technology. Right now, screen goes blank, but it's okay. You know what? I'm a trooper. I'm a trooper. I'm gonna troop this out. Ain't nobody gonna stop me from going ahead and having a broadcast. Alex, what's going on? How's everything going, man?
Hey, Dave. It's good to see you again.
Same here, man. Same here. Before we get started and we talk about, quantum computing and all that good stuff, what do you think? Just your perspective. What do you think is happening with the markets right now?
My perspective, I think things got frothy. Bitcoin or at least the trade for Bitcoin started looking more like a high beta, kind of correlated with NASDAQ type trade. And it was powered by a lot of leverage, some of which were in some DATs that probably got a little bit over their skis. And, when you're in that situation, it just takes a little bit to unwind a lot of price. That's how leverage works, right? We saw this in the great financial crisis, and I think ultimately this strengthens Bitcoin, right? Because every time there's this washing out effect of, kind of weak hands and leveraged weak hands in particular, I mean, it just reinforces when Bitcoin doesn't go to zero, because whenever it starts, people are always expecting to go to zero, right? It never goes to zero. It stops at some point. And, it may still go down a little bit. I don't know. But the point being is it's here to stay, right? And the more cycles that we go through like that, the longer and more durable and the more guaranteed of an investment this is. I mean, as David, you've been in the space for a while. When I was in the space, people were clapping and celebrating when Bitcoin was $1,000, right? And I think the thought of that even being possible, 20 times that being possible, I think is pretty far removed from anyone's mind. So that's my view.
The big boys continue to come out and they continue to say, watch, Bitcoin is going to go parabolic and you should be buying and you should be buying. Even Eric Trump came out, buy Ethereum, and everybody comes out to buy, and it continues to go down, and everybody's looking at gold and silver now and copper, and they're like, what is happening? Like, what? You told me to go in. I'm watching the stock market equities. They're going parabolic. It's doing phenomenal. Safe haven. Everybody's going into gold and silver. Why aren't they jumping into Bitcoin? And that's, I think a lot of people are just like, this is the first time, Alex, I'm reading things on social media and I see people just like waving the white flag. And now people are talking about becoming AI experts.
Yep. And, before this trend, it was like biotech, biohacking, so there's always like the thing that people pivot into, right? But look, Bitcoin as a form of store of value is superior to a lot of these things like gold and silver. Now, of course, if you're looking at this from like a long-term value perspective versus a short-term trading perspective, it's easy to get caught up in the whiplash. But I think, you and me, and I'm sure most of the listeners on your show are not just here for the short-term thing. They're here for the long-term value. And look, the way the world is going, the uncertainty, the bifurcation between different parts of the world, I mean, all of that really honestly plays in Bitcoin's favor. And so for me, that's why I still believe in it. And I think it's still got a pretty durable value proposition.
Well, one thing that has, I don't know if it's affected, Bitcoin or not, but there's been obviously a lot of conversations about obviously quantum computing and what it can do to Bitcoin and what it can do to crypto. Do you think that might have been, or that is playing into the minds of a lot of people? We had a whale yesterday who sold, I think, almost $1.25 billion worth of Bitcoin. Do you think that might be a factor as to why people might be a little bit skittish about, getting into Bitcoin and crypto right now?
Look, I think it definitely should be a concern that people have on their minds. And the answer to the question, what will Bitcoin or pick your blockchain do in a post-quantum world? How will we handle that? Should be a question that everyone is asking to, the various stakeholders of these networks, to the core devs, because I think it is the most important long-term security question. Like, look, we know that quantum computers, when they reach sufficient scale and when they exist, will break the cryptography underlying Bitcoin and a lot of other stuff too, right? And so I think we know the stakes. The question is when. And I think, first off, there's no reason to panic. Like it doesn't require panic, right? And by the way, I think even in a post-quantum world, you're going to need exactly the features that something like Bitcoin provides anyway, right? But I do think it definitely, I'm happy. I mean, I'm sorry to see that maybe it should cause people to, sell their Bitcoin or whatever, but I'm happy to see that this issue is getting the awareness that I do think it deserves, right? Because it's hard. I'd be hard pressed to point to a bigger technical risk for Bitcoin than this.
Last time you were on here, you said Satoshi's coins are the most tempting target for attackers. Since then, there's a real proposal on the table to freeze them. What's your position? Freeze, let them get taken, or something else?
Yeah, I think, this is inevitably going to be depends on who you ask. And there's probably going to be camps that will form around the different positions. Let me just quickly paint why it's hard. Let me say why it's hard. Bitcoin, one of the key value propositions for it was, to be an antithesis to banks and other custodial forms of, financial value that at any moment could just say that you, David, no longer had an account or you no longer had value, right? And this arbitrariness was one of the motivations for Bitcoin, right? And so this concept of even though in the face of a very real threat, quantum, the idea that any group of people could just decide that you, David, no longer have value is very controversial, and understandably so, because this is the heart and soul of what Bitcoin is. Now, on the flip side, though, I think it's undeniable that these coins, a significant amount of Bitcoin, I think it's total between 5 to 10% is considered lost. Some of that is Satoshis, most of it's Satoshis. I think it's undeniable that will be an attractive target for whoever first built a quantum computer. And whoever builds this quantum computer, we can't count on being long Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
They may just want to cash in on that to get us, if say it's a public company, they want to get a stock pump, whatever, right? And the effects on the market that would have, I think, would undeniably have devastating consequences. So I think that's why it's hard. My view, look, I actually think there's another issue with Bitcoin that I think probably needs to get addressed at some point, and that is the emission ultimately trailing to zero. At some point in the future, there's just not going to be enough rewards for miners to justify mining the next block. That may be 10 years, maybe 20 years, maybe 4 years.
Yeah.
I think you can come up with a reasonable confiscation plan that is a long enough window for people to migrate if they are around. I mean, talking about 5 to 7 years, 10 years, maybe. And then maybe the stuff that doesn't get claimed, the Bitcoin that doesn't get claimed, potentially gets recirculated on the back end of this emission curve. And then you can make the whole thing more sustainable. So I actually think I would frame this as almost an opportunity to make Bitcoin even more resilient. But keep in mind, what I want to frame what I'm saying here. And I think a lot of people say this, especially when they talk about the burn and migrate time. People always give a 5 to 10 year timeline because you don't want to make this a year. But if you're already talking about a 5 to 10 year timeline to migrate after everything's already been implemented in the protocol, you're looking at a decade plus to make Bitcoin post-quantum secure. And I think once you're talking about a decade plus, there is a very real possibility that a quantum computer comes online. In fact, the US government, government systems need to be secured against a quantum computer by 2030. So that's 4 years from now, right? And you always got to ask the tough question, what does the NSA know that I don't know, right? And so I think for us, this is, again, the reason why I'm happy that concern about this issue is floated back to the top of the conversation again, because we could not, this is urgent. We need to start now, given the timelines involved.
Alex, if Satoshi's coins move tomorrow, like right now, wouldn't that be the signal that Q Day already happened?
So I think if Satoshi's coins moved, my overwhelming suspicion would be a quantum computer. I just think at this point, the likelihood of someone inventing a quantum computer is greater than Satoshi, whoever they are, coming back from the dead or from wherever they are. I don't know. So I think that would be an indicator. And I think a lot of quantum computing companies look at Satoshi's coins as like salvage. You know, sort of like the Spanish galleons like sank in the Caribbean. And people are like, oh, if I go down there, I can get rich, right? That's, I think, how this is viewed. So I do think that's how that would indicate the potential of Q-Day. And I think the important thing there is, just like you highlighted in the scenario, we're not going to have like a lead up. I don't think there's going to be like an announcement 2 years in advance, like we're going to recover Satoshi's coins. They're going to move, and then we're all going to be scrambling. And that's the situation you want to avoid desperately, right? Because if we're talking about Bitcoin as a store of value, digital gold, gold's been around thousands, tens of thousands of years. Everyone relies on it. Everyone counts on it. You want this thing to be the thing that everyone counts on. And the way you destroy that trust is by rushing a transition into new cryptography.
Sailor was on my show and said quantum is basically a marketing ploy to sell tokens. He said Bitcoin would just upgrade and get stronger. What do you say to that? And by the way, I think a few days ago, I think they're putting together a fund towards making Bitcoin more quantum resistant. But what are your thoughts on?
I think so. First off, yes, I mean, both are true. I think there are certainly people using this narrative to raise money. Certainly, the quantum computing companies are using it to raise money, and other startups in the blockchain space, are also potentially launching post quantum tokens, etc. And that can be true, right? But I think it's also true that there are no solutions to the post quantum problem for Bitcoin yet. And I think this is a really important point that a lot of folks who maybe think I'm too alarmist. Like, Matt Corello, the Blue Matt, went on Laura Shin's podcast and, talked about kind of people like me and Nick are too alarmist. It's like, well, people are working on it. To which I would say, yes, people have written some papers. Yes, people are raising some money. Yes, there are plans, but where is the signet that shows new post-quantum signatures? Where is where are the wallets that have integrated this? Where is Ledger with their like show me something concrete. And when we see some concrete progress, then I think we can feel good about we're on track. And this is I think, as anyone who's a Bitcoin holder, I don't think you should feel excluded from giving your opinion, whatever it may be about quantum, to the core developers who we entrust with maintaining this protocol. Because I think it shouldn't be the case that it's a closed priesthood of people who decide what's best. I mean, ultimately, all of us as investors and holders of Bitcoin should have a say. And I think it's important for that, for people to be able to express those opinions. And again, so in conclusion, like my big thing is like, show me the money. Sailor, you're raising a fund. Show me the money. Show me where it's gone. And I think it's great. The plan is great. I have nothing against the plan. But, you were just talking, I think, before I joined, you've seen all these promises in crypto and they haven't materialized. I mean, exactly, right? I've seen a lot of promises.
Am I wrong? You've been here long enough. I mean, you're a builder. Like, I've seen so many promises. I've been through the ICO era. I've seen everything known to man. People ask me all the time, David, you say retail's not here. Then tell me why retail's going into the stock market. Why aren't they going into crypto? Well, because we do a shitty job talking about what we have here, and people don't recognize like 90% of the assets here, but they do recognize the assets that are in the stock market. They're being claimed or said that they're oversold or they're at the right price, and people are jumping into them because they know it. They wear the product, they drive the product, they understand it, and it's not complicated.
And I would even go further and say, like, a lot of times, crypto, the promises don't translate to tangible value.
Yeah.
And so here, the promise of making Bitcoin secure, I completely agree with the plan, but I think we need to turn that into something tangible. And so, but again, the high level takeaway is people are talking about this now, people are aware of it. And that's great, because ultimately this is what will make Bitcoin be the store of the next gold. We'll be solving this technical problem. It will turn on this, whether Bitcoin is able to navigate it successfully. And maybe it's good to note, just as a point of comparison, other networks like Ethereum, the Ethereum Foundation has made this like a priority one issue, because they view the longevity of Ethereum as determined by their ability to successfully integrate post-quantum cryptography. So everyone from Justin Drake, who runs the EF, down, is aligned on this. And so I think it's important to realize that nothing is written in stone about Bitcoin being digital gold. There's no reason why 20 years from now, if Satoshi's coins get stolen, quantum computers out there, we don't solve this problem, that Bitcoin will just fade into history as another experiment in digital currency. So I think we can't take anything that we've got already for granted. And so that's the reason, again, to prioritize this issue.
I'm an average guy with Bitcoin on a ledger. Walk me through. Walk me through. Am I exposed right now? What should I actually do?
So whether you're exposed, here's a way to be safe. Simple thing. Just send your assets to a new fresh address, right? So you've probably sent some stuff to Coinbase or various points, and you maybe haven't paid attention. Usually, and in the case of Ledger, this is true. Usually, the wallet software makes sure you're not exposing your public key. But just a way to be safe is just whatever your assets are, just take a look at them and just send them to a fresh address, right? Obviously do it carefully. Don't accidentally lose your funds. But if your assets are in a fresh address that's never been sent from, then you're completely quantum safe today on Bitcoin, right? It's true on Ethereum too. It's just harder to secure yourself on Ethereum because of the way the UTXO versus address model works. But that's the simple answer. Whether or not you're worried about being exposed, fresh, new P2P PKH address, you're safe.
What happens if Bitcoin does not act in time?
I think there's enough people in the world that see the value proposition of Bitcoin as important that some version of a decentralized protocol aiming to be digital gold will exist. I mean, let me just be explicit. I think you'll see forks. I think you'll see potentially a couple different forks of people trying to claim the mantle of Bitcoin in the future. And I think that would be very chaotic, potentially, because you may have a split between core devs.
Do you think it could come? I'm sorry to interrupt you, and I hardly ever do that on the show.
It's all good.
When you go into that and you say that, do you think that the institutions could be a player in forking Bitcoin?
No question. Yeah, absolutely. There's no question. I mean, I think if you look at the institutions, I mean, they're the most exposed stakeholders. Imagine a quantum computer comes online today and takes Satoshi's coins, and the price drop takes a huge drop. BlackRock, say, as an ETF issuer, they may have customers coming in saying like, wait, you sold me this thing and I thought this was digital gold and safe cryptography. And, they may face a bunch of lawsuits. I mean, there's a very real world, in my opinion, where the institutions band together, Saylor included, to prevent what would be a catastrophic fall in price. And I have no doubt that they would support a fork if they thought it could be legitimate. So I think for sure we can't rule them out. And this is another thing that I would say where I kind of differ from a lot of core devs. I think it's easy to believe that me as a Bitcoin holder and BlackRock as a Bitcoin holder are just on a level playing field. But let's just be real, right? The reality is they have way more say than I do because of the amount of stake that they hold, right?
Yeah.
And I think we just have to be pragmatic and understand that.
You're a Green Beret. You were deployed 3 times. You worked with refugees. How does the experience shape how you think about this threat?
I mean, I think...
Okay, that's awesome, by the way.
Yeah, well, first off, I got into Bitcoin working in the Middle East. For seeing firsthand, kind of got back to the original value prop. I mean, growing up in the United States, you take the value of the dollar and the fact that it's accepted everywhere. You just take that for granted. And you go to a place like the Syrian-Turkish border where people have lost everything just on a whim based on kind of where they were one day on one side of the line or the other. You realize the importance of something like Bitcoin for humanity. But look, I think my military training, I mean, one thing that was drilled into me, particularly as a military officer, is risk assessment and risk mitigation. And there's like a good framework that I always like to work on, which is like how, what's the probability that a certain thing happens? And then what's the severity of the event, right? Quantum is the most extreme severity. Like potentially it breaks everything about Bitcoin. So even if it's a kind of a low probability event, you want to manage it. In the same way that when I get in a car, the chance that I'm going to get in an accident on any one day, very low. But the severity, if I do, I could paralyze or kill me. So I wear a seatbelt. Same thing here. Let's build a seatbelt for Bitcoin. Let's post-quantum secure. Let's all go into the future, not worrying about when Q-Day is. In fact, when a quantum computer comes, we should all be celebrating because it'll probably unlock a bunch of new breakthroughs in science, etc. So that's how I would like to view it. And
Alex, if you could sit down with Saylor, right? Well, I don't know if you have, but I'm just saying in general, if you could sit down with Saylor, what would you tell him? How would you present? He hears it all the time. I've watched his interview. He's come on here. I've watched his interviews with others. And how would you present this case? Because he has a big voice here. Like he has obviously a huge voice in Bitcoin. Like how would you present it to him? Adam Back said, by the way, I was watching Adam Back and he said that, well, like 2035, 2040, we should worry about something like this. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, as I'm listening to you, and obviously you were on the show before, I'm like, we need to take it seriously though. We need to investigate it. Because whether it's true or not, you still, let's investigate it. There are a bunch of smart people. I consider you smart. There are a lot of smart people that are looking into this and saying, this can potentially happen. Like, why not look into it? Why not make an effort?
I think, and that's my biggest thing, is like the framing of the question that Adam and I have is slightly different. Adam's like, okay, what's the average value of when this will happen? Like, when do we, on average, when we think it could, maybe in the 2030s. My question is like, well, how do we know it's not going to happen sooner? And no one can answer that question, right? And that's a risk, right? Again, high severity. So what would I tell, people with influence in Bitcoin? I think we need the equivalent of like a Manhattan Project level prioritization and organization, right? Because what was the Manhattan Project? The U.S. was fighting Germany in World War II. The U.S. Strategic Command was like, the Nazis might get a nuclear weapon before we do. And that's as existential as it gets, right?
Yeah.
So like, we need to solve this, and not just like plans on paper. We need to pick the best people and the best minds. We need to put them in a room. We need to fund them to the greatest extent that possible. Because look at, Saylor's whole strategy is based on this concept of like the digital gold narrative. It's certainly not going to be digital gold if we don't solve this. So it's worth paying money for it. And I bet you if Saylor set the example by taking the fund, not just setting aside the money, but investing it in the best people, you would find a lot of other stakeholders who would follow suit. And then I think the next piece is holding those folks accountable to not just write white papers, but to build a real Bitcoin testnet that actually had all the metrics, and we're able to basically ensure that we have the most secure cryptography, et cetera. The tangible outcomes funded by tangible value, Manhattan Project for post-quantum Bitcoin. There you go. That's what I think.
Do you think, and I don't know if this is repetitive or not, but I don't think I asked this question. Do you think there are people, multi-billion dollar net worths, sitting back and saying, you know what, I would go in to Bitcoin if I knew this issue was solved? Because I'm sure these people who have a lot of money, they look into it, or their people look into the everything about the asset. Now, if they see this type of conversation continue to happen, they might be a little bit iffy about joining. Like, if this were solved, do you think the price of Bitcoin would jump?
On the margin, there's no doubt demand that would come in here if this were solved. Because just think about like this. Let's paint a picture of a type of an investor that's worried about inflation in the future. What do? Do you invest in Bitcoin? Do you invest in gold? Bitcoin's better than gold in the sense that there's a capped supply, right? But in the world where like a quantum computer comes online, the price of that asset could tank, and maybe you'd be better off holding cash even with the inflation, right? But gold's not going to have that problem. So I think, like, again, it's the uncertainty that this introduces that is one of the biggest problems. And the good news is we can solve that by just building a solution, right? Like that, and take away that uncertainty. Whether or not the quantum computer exists today in 10 years from now is actually the less important thing. It's the uncertainty that drives fear that either causes people to sell or hesitate. And to me, so that's why it should be a straightforward priority.
Project 11 can solve an issue for us. Alex can solve an issue for us, him and his entire team. I think everybody should get together, kind of like the Manhattan Project, and look at this and let's put it to bed. Let's invent that seatbelt so we can drive safely. I see no problem with it. We need to get off our high horses and like literally come together. I hate using the word literally, but come together and work together. That's it. We're working. We want to make Bitcoin the greatest asset of all time. Like we want to take it to new levels. Yet sometimes the egos, and why have these egos? But sometimes the egos get in the way.
100%. 100%. And by the way, like there's a chance, let's be optimistic, and maybe, we can be optimistic for a second. If we do this right, Bitcoin as a network that secures more value with cryptography than any other network on earth that's ever been invented by man, that can be the standard bearer. That can be the torch by which everything else, banks, the internet, Cloudflare, Gmail, can follow. It would be incredible to look and all be stakeholders in this network and be like, this is how humanity beyond digital assets is solving this real problem. and look at Bitcoin, look at how it solved it. If Bitcoin can do it, anyone can do it. And there's no reason to not do it. And by the way, all the cryptography that Bitcoin built that is solving this problem can be applied anywhere else. That should be what happens, right? There's no reason that can't be what happens. To your point, I think it's ego. People wanting to claim, look smart or, claim they're more important than, maybe someone else. But none of that matters at the limit. And I think it really is critical for, again, the people with stake and who are the largest stakeholders in this network to really come together and truly take it seriously. And that's I like the Manhattan Project because, like I said, it's hard for me to point to something in history where it's like people were more serious. I mean, you couldn't find something where people were more serious.
That was a great analogy to use, Manhattan Project. One question before you go. I was going to let you go, but one question popped up. If this issue is solved for Bitcoin, then it's solved for crypto in general, right? So everybody should be absolute. And I know how, there are Bitcoiners are like, we don't care, Bitcoin, nothing else. And I get that, but there are other things. And there are people that are vested into other things. So at the end of the day, you guys potentially solve an issue that goes further than just Bitcoin.
100%, because Bitcoin and Ethereum both use the same elliptic curve cryptography today. In fact, the only difference between an Ethereum wallet and a Bitcoin wallet is kind of just like social context that we put on top of this math, right? So in the same way, if you solve this underlying foundational problem for Bitcoin, you end up, by extension, solving it for basically every other cryptocurrency. Now, it's not totally true because the way Bitcoin works, the block times are a little slower than something like that. But like broadly speaking, it's a huge step forward in solving the problem generally beyond just blockchains in digital signatures on the web, for example, right? So again, this is why I think we have an opportunity as a space to really lead by example and demonstrate what the power of a decentralized community is, right? And I think if we all get over our collective egos, we can do that. And I'm optimistic that we will.
And a project and a company like yours can go ahead and finally deliver something that others just promise and take money and then just go away. Because I've just been used to seeing this shit. Excuse my language. Actually, don't excuse it. But I've been used to seeing this shit all the time, Alex, and just like people coming out and just saying, "Hey, we got the solution," and then 9 years later, the solution's still being worked on. Listen, I'm not saying like, these things are like, you can invent things overnight and they work, the next day kind of thing. But 9 years, 10 years, and that's a way too long when you got $95 million put into you, way too long. Either come out, we don't know it and we need help, or we're out, don't tease.
Yeah, and look, and I appreciate having me on the show, and I appreciate the kind words, but look, hold me accountable, right? I'm promising to build a post-quantum solutions for Bitcoin, contribute in that, and for other networks too, right? And I'm proud that we've had a track record and a history of shipping at Project 11, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't be held accountable, right, for these promises that I'm making. Right?
But you're at least there's a face, right? Listen, 99% of these projects don't have a face. They don't even have a LinkedIn page.
Yeah.
So it's like, and they get 95 or $200 million put into them, and just like, man, like, holy, and then like, they don't deliver. Yeah, of course, people will hold you accountable. This is a major issue, right? When you speak of this, it scares people. Then you have people that don't believe in it, and yeah, but I believe. I hope, knock on wood. I'm rooting for you because we need a seatbelt. I mean, like, I can't root against you.
Yeah.
So, by the way, I just want to end this by saying I appreciate you for serving the country. Obviously, thank you for your services. You see the American flag. I'm a proud American, and I love the military, and I love everything that you guys do for us. Obviously, allowing me to speak here today on a camera and a microphone. This is not a dirty job, So, yeah, I appreciate you. I think I'm rooting for Project 11. I have no incentive except my incentive is to see you guys win. So we as a space win. And I do appreciate you coming on here for a second time with my monitors sort of working. And hopefully I can get you on in the near future so we can chat. And definitely I'm looking forward to linking up with you to doing a one-on-one podcast to get you onto the podcast so we can go ahead and sit down and dive deeper into this issue.
That'd be amazing, David. Thanks a ton for having me on. And yeah, it was a pleasure to be here. I look forward to next time.
Thank you so much. That is Alex. Check out Project 11, okay? If you don't, unfollow me, okay? Check it out. That's Alex. Good guy, man. Good guy. Good staff. Man, I really am rooted for them. And I talk to both sides, the Bitcoiners, the Bitcoin maxis. I'm like, we really do need to look into this issue. Let's put the fix on it now. And I said something during that conversation with Alex. I'm like, how many people? I started thinking about this as Alex was talking and dropping knowledge and facts here. I was just like, how many people are sitting out on the sidelines now because people are scared? You know how it is. People are worried, thinking that now Bitcoin, their Bitcoin is going to be taken from them. How many people are sitting on the sidelines not going into Bitcoin because of this? I think more people would get bullish on Bitcoin and crypto if you did have this Manhattan Project. That's a good. I got to tell you, that's not a bad. When he said the Manhattan Project, a lot of you guys haven't gone to school. So since you guys are all on ChatGPT, look up the Manhattan Project. Okay. And there's a movie. You can check out the movie too. Okay. It breaks every. Yes, we need a Manhattan Project. Oh my, yeah, I'm so bullish right now. I want Alex and all these major notable figures to come together. Because it's not just bullish for Bitcoin. It's bullish for everything. When he dropped and he said, well, what about cloud and Gmail? And I was like, it's deeper. And then Bitcoin gets credit. We need some real credit to come into this space. But yeah, that good interview, man. Shout out to Alex. Follow him. I'll have everything detailed out on either my page or we'll have it on the other social media pages where you can go ahead and follow Alex. You can follow Project 11 and everything they're doing. I see nothing wrong with it. I already see a Bitcoiner in here. See, Landy, you missed the message. You see, Landy, you missed the message. Did you not hear what Alex said? I agree with Alex. You know why I agree with him? Because it's about not getting to the point. It's about not getting to the 11th hour. It's about not getting to the 11th. If I'm more bullish on people being productive, I'm more bullish on people being productive. Sailor has come out and like they're starting up, they're investing into this. So it has to be an issue. It's being brought up. Whether it happens in 20 years, fine. But if we have a solution, then nobody's worried. Don't worry, we got the seatbelt ready. We can put it right in. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm bullish on that. I'm bullish on that. Oh my God, Landy. Landy, I think you're wrong on this. I really do. I think you're wrong on this. I love you. I just think you're wrong on this one. Allow people to build out. Anyway. Welcome to the Breakdown, episode 670. Sponsored by Midnight and also Cake Wallet. That's right, Cake Wallet. Shout out to Vic and the team. I'm going to be making a video. I'll also be making a video at midnight too. And shout out to Polymarket, the official sponsor of prediction markets for the DG brand. That's right. Shout out to Landy, I'm not going to fight with you while you're in the comment section fighting with me. Okay? You're in the goddamn comment section fighting with me. In the comment section fighting with me. He's on 93 podcasts right now simultaneous. He's just fighting with me. I will beat your ass. I will beat your ass, Landy. How about that? I said it. I'll beat your ass. Anyway, welcome to the breakdown. Listen. I think we should be doing everything possible just to secure our networks. That's all. I'm not saying Bitcoin's not secure. I'm just saying in general. When quantum computing comes out, who the fuck knows? We won't know until the event happens. I've always thought that way. That anybody who gets a quantum computer is not going to come on and say, hey, we got a quantum computer. No, this shit's happening. Like, literally, the shit will happen. I want you to think about that for a second. Nobody who develops a quantum computer is going to come out here and say, hey, we have a quantum computer. That would be idiotic. No, they're going to go after everything. They will go after everything. Somebody who develops a quantum computer, there's a reason why they're developing it. There is a reason why they would develop it. And that is not to go ahead and tell the whole world they made a quantum computer. Are you insane? Man, I gotta tell. Welcome to the breakdown, everybody. If anybody who lives on the Northeast, by the way, anybody who lives on the Northeast, we experienced a goddamn blizzard. Snowfall was record breaking. I'm out there 5-6 hours fucking shoveling, okay, because I wanted a workout. Now I'm thinking it would have been smarter to hire somebody to go ahead and, but you know what? No, because I was raised differently. You get your ass out there and you start shoveling. That's how I was raised, okay? Not having somebody do it for you, do it yourself. Especially that you're like a goddamn ox out here in these streets. You're like a bull. Go ahead and get it done. So I was out there shoveling. Damn. Landy says, someday it will happen. You're right, but not for quite a long time. But I can't even see past, I can't see past the message, but it's being blocked off and stuff. Anyway, I don't want to wait. Landy, the whole thing is, Landy, I don't know why I'm talking to you, but the whole thing is I don't want to wait I'm going to say this again. I don't want to wait until the 11th hour. Let's get it fixed now. Let's get it done now. Well, let's bring in a solution now so we don't have to start scrambling with only an hour left. Like, we shouldn't be, that's not the way we should be thinking, especially this space with so many innovators, with so many people that are so bright. God damn it, look what's happening with AI. I mean, we can't just like brush it off. Look what AI is doing. Look what AI is doing. AI is moving fucking fast. Every day there's a new update. Every day. The IQ on AI at this point is like 600. AI is going to get rid of people. I'm telling you right now, AI is going to get rid of a lot of jobs. A lot of jobs. You will find that I think in the next 5 years, Mac Minis will be sitting in the same space that once occupied a human being, and they will do every single thing at a much faster pace and get a lot of things done faster than human beings. I really believe that's going to happen with AI agents, and especially with it. It's advancing now. A lot of people disagree with me on that. I don't believe it's going to. Landy, I'm telling you, I don't know what kind of jobs it will create. I think if we're talking about labor, there might be more jobs that come onto the market, I guess. But if you are sitting at an entry-level job and let's say you're doing data entry. Okay, let's go with data entry. Let's talk about politics and tech right now. By the way, you're tuned into The Breakdown, one of the #1 shows. That's right, one of the #1 shows out there. Episode 670, sponsored by Midnight, also sponsored by Cake Wallet and Polymarket, the official prediction market of the DG brand. Entry-level jobs will disappear. If I'm a business and I have a business. If you got to look at it now and say, could I take a Mac Mini and replace an entry-level job? That's how you have to look at it. And that's how a lot of businesses are looking at this stuff. Let's do it this way. If you got to spend $50,000 on a human being or on a Mac Mini AI agent, I'm going with the Mac. The Mac is going to show up. The AI agent, is going to show up. Okay. No health care, no 401ks, no nothing. No sick days, nobody crying, nobody bitching. No, here you go. More production is being done. I'm just saying. The only thing working, and this is what I thought, the only thing that's working against AI agents is this: if the electricity goes out. If the electricity goes out, then that's when, and other things, obviously, if there's a virus in the, whatever, I'm just saying there could be things where, again, you still need human beings. But who would I rather hire? Or what would I rather build out would be the question. Would I rather go ahead and build out, or would I rather hire a human being who's going to bitch at me all day long? Or would I rather go ahead and spin up an AI agent to do the same job? And you know what? Tech CEO, one of the moderators on my TikTok channel, just said something that's true. Most employees don't work if the electricity goes out. So there you go. My thesis of if the electricity goes out, then that goes out the window. Now what? Most people, Landy, oh my God, your fucking argument is, Landy, you said we will also have many more people creating their own businesses. Have you seen the many more people? Have you seen people in this society? The 90%, okay, 100% went and ran and bought a Mac Mini. Do you know how many of those will actually succeed? 1%, because the rest of them bought it and will get frustrated. They will not know what they're doing. They don't have an idea of what to build out. What are we talking about? Most of the people that are now spinning up AI agents, they don't know how to. They're burning tokens like crazy. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't know what they're building. They don't have a brand. They don't. What are they building? They're not about that life. And that's true that they're just not. Some people rather just work for a check. They don't want to spin up their own business. I'm telling you, man, like it's easy to say these things, but like a lot of people are not techie. They don't understand this stuff. They don't understand. And you know what? Anybody who spins up a business using AI agents, they're not going to hire human beings. They have no need to hire human beings. Why would they want that overhead? You can pay AI 500 for all the APIs and everything. You could pay $500 to $1,000. Why would you pay any overhead? More than the $500,000, maybe even $2,000. Small business I'm talking about. I'm not talking about big business. I'm talking about small business. If you only need to come out of pocket for $2,000, why would you hire anybody? You don't need to hire anybody. The devs are going to go ahead and spin up AI agents, and that's it. Nobody who's building something wants to teach anybody anything. The only thing that I can see, if I'm thinking about this, the only thing that I can see not being taken away is salespeople. Like, if there are a bunch of people that are spinning up businesses, then salespeople are going to be in need. Especially if you're building a product, you still need a human to go ahead and break things down, because nobody's going to sit there and talk to, a robot. And I'm talking about in real life. Nobody's going to talk to Optimus, okay, and actually take it seriously in terms of closing a deal. I might be wrong too. I don't know. Maybe Optimus goes ahead and closes the deal, but you'll still need salespeople. You'll still need to do B2B type of stuff. So I can see that. But entry-level jobs where you put in data? Why do you need it when you already have AI agents that can do that? That's all I'm saying. Anyway, welcome to the breakdown. Tonight, President Trump, the 47th president of the United States of America, Trump is speaking, State of the Union. Democrats are boycotting. Trump is so upset. I'm being sarcastic. But that is, by the way, let me say, shout out to, by the way, again, the U.S. hockey team, both the women and the men. So let's give the men and women the shout out here. Both the women and the men. The women are not coming to the White House, and they're not coming to the State of the Union. They have declined the invitation because there's a bunch of probably liberals and Democrats on that team, and they are standing their ground. But shout out to the U.S. team, the men's team. They are going to the White House, and they are going to attend the State of the Union address today. I love Jack Hughes. I hate the Devils. I'm a Rangers fan. I hate the New Jersey Devils. I can't stand the Devils. Can't stand them. But Jack Hughes, let me tell you something. This man is an American hero. I said it. He is an American hero. Every single mainstream media outlet is in his face trying to make him say something bad about President Trump. Trying to make him say something bad about the United States of America. Trying to make him say something like one of those goddamn athletes. What was that guy's name that said, "Oh, I'm having a hard time here representing the United States of America"? Jack is out here like, I am proud to be an American. It is a great honor to be at the White House. It is a great honor to meet the president. I love that. And the Democrats are silent. The Democrats did not, most of the Democrats did not congratulate the United States hockey team. This is how bad it is. Most of them did not congratulate the United States hockey team because they were proud to be Americans. Because they didn't say anything bad about the American flag. Because they didn't say anything bad about the current president of the United States of America. So they did not congratulate a team that made history. After 4 decades, we finally got the gold. And not a single word. These are Americans that are playing on this hockey team. You acknowledge these Americans. God bless America, land that I love, stand beside her and guide her. Democrats hate that pledge of allegiance to the United States of America. Y'all hate that. And how's Gavin Newsom sitting there with an African American gentleman having a conversation and trying this. You know what? I don't even want to repeat it. He said you got to watch this. He said something so dumb. Absolutely so dumb. We're not smart. Like, what? If Trump said this, it would be running for the next 3 weeks. If Trump said anything like this, it'd be running for 3 weeks. Anyway, State of the Union speech. I'm sure Trump is going to talk about the economy, how great it is. I'm sure he'll talk about, China, Iran, wars, Ukraine, Russia. I'm sure all that's going to be talked about. Crypto bros, you guys are sitting on the edge of your seats. Listen, like I said today, we need to do the opposite now. We need somebody to talk negatively about crypto, like 100% of the time. And maybe, just maybe, it reverses the trend. Because all we are getting is good news. Everything that comes out is good news. Maybe we need some bad news. Reverse psychology. That's right. I'm proud of the United States of America. I am absolutely proud of the United States hockey team. I'm a big hockey fan. Hockey is my favorite sport. Football, obviously, I love football. I love sports in general, but hockey, I played it, love it. To watch the United States of America win, brother to brother. Imagine the brothers went ahead and ended that game. It was phenomenal to watch. That's the dream. You're playing outside with your brother. And you have these moments, pass, score, we win the Stanley Cup kind of thing. Oh, we win the gold. And here they are. They live out a lifelong dream. By the way, emotional moment. Johnny Gaudreau, when Kachuk's, by the way, shout out to the Kachuk brothers. Big shout out to the Kachuk brothers. Shout out to the entire United States Olympic team, but shout out to the Kachuk brothers, man. Johnny Gaudreau's wife, parents were at the game when they won. They went into the stands. The Kachucks went into the stands, brought out the kids onto the ice, and they brought out Gaudreau's jersey. And they took a picture as they laid on the ice. That was an emotional moment. Like I'm even thinking about it right now. It's emotional. Johnny Gaudreau and his brother were killed 2 years ago while they were biking. They went to Jersey. They went to Jersey in general to go ahead and participate in Their sister was having a wedding. They went there to participate, obviously. They were riding their bicycles and they were run over by a drunk driver. That's a terrible event. To see that, the brotherhood, as they called it, the brotherhood of the Olympic team coming together, that sweet moment. And Jack Hughes with no teeth. Like, this is the only sport, I got to tell you, hockey, it's not like basketball, okay? Where LeBron James gets touched or somebody blows on him and he's falling and flopping, okay? Jack Hughes gets hit in the mouth with a stick, loses teeth. He's not leaving. He's still playing. And he scores the game-winning goal. Can you imagine that? You lose your teeth, you score the game-winning goal in overtime. What a feeling, man. What a feeling. You got to be proud to be American. And everybody who's watching that game. Hockey is one of the greatest sports in the world. Again, marketing on the NHL side is lacking. But if we had the marketing like the NFL, NASCAR, all these great established, if we had that marketing, more people would watch. But it's okay. I love hockey, the speed of it, the grit of it. Hockey players get stitched up right there and they keep going. Love it. Love it. Love it. And I think we'll get more people watching hockey now. I think after that, more people will start watching hockey. Canada, shout out to Canada. They have a great team. It's an all-star team. Canadians produce great players. But that game was all about grit and determination. Miracle on Ice, 1980, same thing. The Russians were packed, all-stars, Hall of Famers. We won based on grit, hunger. The goalie, by the way, the United States hockey Olympic goalie, who should have been the MVP of the entire tournament. He stood on his head. Flashes of Mike Richter. Flashes of Mike Richter, 1996 World Cup. That's what I saw. Helly stood on his head. He made saves. I was like, oh shit. Without Helly, the Americans don't win. Best player on the ice. Welcome to The Breakdown, episode 670, sponsored by Midnight. Also sponsored by Cake Wallet and Polymarket, the official prediction market of the DG brand. Again, the State of the Union address, I'm sure Trump is going to have a lot to say. I was thinking maybe I might stream this. Should I stream? Should I go ahead and stream the State of the Union? I shall go ahead and talk with the team to see if I do it. So I can go ahead and give my takes on everything that happened. I will note everything down. Besides doing the show, obviously, the breakdown tomorrow, episode 671. But note everything down. I'll figure this all out. As for crypto, honestly, I'm not even looking at crypto at this point. I already know what I want. I already know what I want. I want what I want to buy when I want to DCA into. And that's how I'm flowing with it. That's exactly how I'm going with it. That's it. I already know what I want, and I'm going to get it. And that's it. That's it. And that's how I'm approaching it. That is exactly how I'm approaching it. I know what I want. I know exactly what I want. You know, I'm trying to, like, I'm live here and people are like, why are you pausing? That's probably what you're thinking. I'm thinking of what I should say. I'm thinking of what I should say to the crowd that tunes into me for crypto and politics, obviously, but I'm thinking about what I should say to the crowd. I've been here a long time and I've seen a lot of shit. This, obviously, the last 2 years to me have been disgusting because we used to rally around something. We used to believe in one thing. We used to believe in just one thing and we'd rally around it. And we have these kumbaya sessions and everybody's happy and thrilled and jumping up and down. And watching what's happening now, to me, it's honestly, it's garbage. People don't know how to hold. And I'm talking about, I'm going to go into let me start from the memes and then carry my way into the altcoins. But this really doesn't, I don't know if this really affects altcoins. Because I think there are a lot of really good altcoins that are going to do really good numbers because they have something to offer. But particularly, you know, a lot of people will disagree with me on this, and I can care less who disagrees with me on shit, because these are my thoughts and my thoughts only. But the meme economy does bring in a lot of people into this space. It does. Memes rule the world. Like Elon Musk, the wealthiest man on the planet, consistently tweets out memes. Memes are a universal language. If we could just rally and hold legacy memes, as I'll call them, legacy memes, and we can rally around them and not make derivatives of derivatives of derivatives of them, and then version 2.0, 3.0, 4.5, and then have like every single kid get onto Pump Fund and like put out like 90,000 of the same, our ecosystem would heal. But this is what you get with technology, though. Technology has advanced. Argo, that's what you see now with Pump Fund, where people don't need to code. They can just push stuff out. You don't need to know coding. They could just deploy, and that's it. Nobody has to think about liquidity pools, setting up liquidity, getting security checks, nobody needs any of that anymore. But that, you know, in itself, yes, decentralized. We live in a decentralized world. Yes, it's great, decentralized ecosystem. But at some point, you guys are eating yourselves. You're not winning. I've actually seen people try to come together and desperately, like big names, have tried to come together and send something. They can't. They can't send anything without using their own money. And even if they use their own money, nobody really wants to participate. You know why? Because you've caused this. This is what you've caused. So yes, you will have one meme that pops off, like the punch thing where the monkey got punched. So things like that will go viral. But now you don't have people standing by legitimate. People aren't interested in the OG memes anymore, or for the time being, because you guys have made it into a complete and utter fucking mess. The same people who cry for people to hold. You guys can't even hold an asset for more than 5 minutes before jumping to the next one. Why would anybody believe in anything if you can't even hold? There's no reason for people to like go into anything if you're not willing to hold. If you're going out there and then talking about a new thing and then a new thing and then another thing, like, why don't you just focus on one thing? Imagine if everybody rallied around one token. Could you imagine if retail just rallied around one thing? What would happen if everybody just rallied around just one asset? Is anybody even interested anymore in our ecosystem? Besides, forget about Bitcoin and Ethereum, all that. We already have it. I'm just asking, is anybody interested in rallying behind just one asset? Is anybody willing to just hold one token? Like if one token came out, would you rally behind it? That's a big question. That's a question I have. Would you rally behind something? Just one token. Imagine what you can do. Imagine what the people can do. Think about, and for those who are laughing, I just want to give you some perspective. I keep on saying we need a catalyst, right? We, the people, are the catalyst. We, the people, are the catalyst. So we have to do something, right? To bring back that energy. Do you know why I'm talking about this? Because that energy has now gone to AI. The energy that we once experienced in crypto is now in AI. The butterfly feeling, the excitement. Oh, I gotta wake up. I can't wait to get on the computer and talk to an AI agent or set up my... That used to be crypto. Now crypto is waving white flags. People are miserable. So imagine if we can, like the Roaring Kitty, right? Roaring Kitty came out. Nobody took him seriously, right? He said, basically, he was investing into meme stocks. AMC, GameStop, those are memes. At that point, they weren't worth what they were worth, but people rallied and went in. After a certain time, they said, you know what? Let's rally behind Roaring Kitty. Let's rally behind this Wall Street Bets movement and send it. And they did. And it worked out. It worked out for a lot of people. For those who it didn't work out for, well, you should have took profit, okay? That's not Roaring Kitty's problem. That's a you problem. You got greedy, you didn't take out. You thought it was going to go up forever. Nothing goes up forever. Can you imagine if we rally together? Could you imagine if we all came together? Leadership, there's leadership, and then like we rally what we can do. But unfortunately, I don't know if retail is ready for that. I don't know if retail is ready to rally behind one thing, behind one leader, or multiple leaders leading the way. But there should be a leader, just like Roaring Kitty. I don't know. I'm just putting that out there. Because a lot of you guys are obsessed with memes. A lot of you guys are obsessed with altcoins. I'm thinking that if that did happen again, that we could bring back our markets. You know what? We need to have that happen. How about that? Thinking about it, institutions are here. They're literally here now telling us exactly what they're doing and how they're doing business. Well, what about us? What about us? We built this goddamn space. What about us? What are we going to do? Are we going to sit here and allow them to win, allow them to take control of our ecosystem? Or are we going to go ahead and smack back? What are we doing? What are we going to do? This is a serious question. I'm thinking about all this stuff. What are we going to do? Are we going to rally? Whether we like each other or not, whether you like me or what, are we going to rally? Are we going to finally become the catalyst that we're looking for and rally this space, rally retail? Or do you guys want to not put your egos aside? You guys want to play as individuals? Well, we ain't going to win as individuals. Some of us already won, so we don't need the headache. But I'm just saying in general, do you want to rally as a team? You want to work as one cohesive working unit, or you just want to be a bunch of individuals? Because as individuals right now, you guys ain't making nothing. I see it. I see how poor your posts are, okay? I see how poor your posts are. I see how confused you are. Imagine if we retail finally said, you know what, enough is enough. We're going to take back what's ours. Imagine if we did that. Imagine. Bunch of people, bunch of blue-collared retail that go and get behind just one goddamn asset. And who knows, maybe we get on behind more of them. Real assets, real builders, innovators. We take back what's ours. We can either do that, we can either come together and have a really good time, or we can allow the institutions to take control. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. For those who have been following me, you guys know I don't care. I'm a rebel. I am game. One thing I love is this space. I love this space. I love the crypto ecosystem, the crypto industry, the digital asset industry. I hate the fact that I'm watching it in 4K, that we are allowing, like, it's happening and you guys might not notice it, but they are slowly just taking control of everything that we've done here. We've built this place. I'm going to say this again. Every single person has had something to do with building out this industry. Every single person has had something to do with it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining the breakdown. Episode 670, sponsored by Midnight. Also sponsored by Cake Wallet and Polymarket, the official prediction market sponsor of the DG brand. So shout out to everybody. We got more stuff to... I don't want to talk about it because the haters be praying, but it is what it is. When you believe in God and karma, when you allow God to take care of things, and you really believe in God, right? And that's something that I've been brought up with ever since I was young, is God, right? And then this karma thing has always come around. And I leave everything on that. I don't do bad to people. I make sure not to do bad to people, because I wouldn't want that done to me. So just sit back. You sit back and you let it all play out. You let everything play out. God is asking you to trust him. So trust God. That's it. If you don't believe in God, I'm not going to push God on you, but I'm just saying God says trust him. Okay. I will trust God. That's it. And I'm not just saying that. I believe, like it just I believe in God. God, you know, it's special. I feel like I have a special relationship with God, and I'm sure everybody else has a special relationship with God. When my dad passed away 4 or 5 years ago, I spoke to God. It's just one of those things. Like, hey, you get what I'm saying. You speak to God, you get a better under. I wasn't mad at God. Do I want my dad to still be here? Obviously, I still want my dad here, but I wasn't angry with God. I had to understand, I had to understand why. But then I understood the whys. And then I understood that I need to take my place as the head lion, okay, leader of my entire family. Because 95% of my family is female. We don't have a lot of men in my family. So I have to, that day, fuck it, I'll say it here. It doesn't really matter, right? Because I'm genuine. That day my dad passed, it's COVID. COVID has locked down everything. Certain amount of people can go into a hospital, certain amount of people can go into, obviously, where the burial site is, and I'm standing there and I'm like, I have to put on a face of strength, and I can't show weakness. Couldn't show weakness. And I remember like it was yesterday. I was standing there and just obviously like my dad's buried and I'm looking down, and I turn around and you see everybody just like they're obviously, of course, emotional, and I look and everybody's crying, and the woman, and you turn around and you go like, you honor him, you honor him. That's it. Just I honored my dad, and now I live to go ahead and honor him. And you have to become like you become that rock. Now you become that rock for everybody. Also, I think I went through a whole thing like when my dad passed, in my mind, it was more like, hey, he went on vacation. I think like 3 years ago, I finally realized, like you start to realize it a little bit. How did I even get into this topic? This is crazy. I don't even know how I got into this topic. I have no idea. No idea. What I do say, once in a while is make sure that you guys are calling your parents. Make sure you stay connected. If you're beefing with your parents, try to go ahead and resolve the issue. You only get one mother or father. So try to resolve whatever it is that you guys are bickering about, family members as well. Because nothing's guaranteed. I think that's where some of us forget that nothing is guaranteed. I think we get to just wake up tomorrow. You think you just get to wake up tomorrow, but that's, again, it's not guaranteed. If you woke up today, God gave you a contract extension, so that's the best way that you can go ahead and look at it. I don't even know how I got into this goddamn topic. I am wondering how I got here right now. But I guess, I don't know, I guess God wanted me to go ahead and talk about this. I don't know. Maybe there are other people out there that have gone through the same thing and they've been dealing with this and it's been hard for them. Just know that obviously it never gets easier, but the pain itself goes away a bit. So, and for anybody who's suffering with it and needs anybody to talk to, seek it out. Seek it out. It's okay, especially men. Men need to talk about things. You're a guy and like you're suffering with something. Go out and talk to somebody. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with speaking to somebody. It's actually beneficial for you. Beneficial for you to do it. Beneficial for sure. Um, yeah, this is wild. I don't know. I honestly do not know how I got into this topic. I don't know how I got into this topic of talking about that. But I guess you can sit back and say we all go through something, right? All of us are, you might look at me, oh, he's doing a show. Look at him looking all clean with his suit on, tie. He got the flag. His hair's always on point. He's always talking about how good looking he is, which I got to stop doing that because y'all, if I keep on telling you how good looking I am and how on point my beard is and my skin and all this stuff, you guys are going to just say, man, this guy's one. You already think I'm cocky and arrogant. You guys are probably saying, I can't stand this motherfucker, but I got to stop doing that. But at the end of the day, we all are just like going through something. Like we all have our thing. So no matter what kind of smile we might put on, we all have something. And that's fine. That's life. God gives you challenges for a reason. They can break you or they can make you strong. I don't think God will ever I don't believe God will break you to the point where you never recover. I think he just, God has a way of really building you back up and making you a lot stronger. He sees your weakness and he takes care of it. That's what I believe. I believe God really does, break you to make you better. I don't think he does anything to hurt you. And again, there are a lot of people that tune into the show that don't believe in God, and I respect that. I do. I believe in God. Truly believe in God and a higher power. So it's great. I don't know what happened today that I'm just talking like this. Maybe it's because I was shoveling my ass off and you have time to think to yourself as you shove. I don't know how this conversation came about. I don't know. But yeah, of course, like you sit back and like there are things that I have achieved so many things um that I wish I could have had that conversation with my dad because that's my best friend, and I wish I could have had that conversation with him and talked about certain things and also kind of like run things by him um or just get him like to give me a comment on like give me a comment on things. You know, my dad was a guy who was just like, with me, he was focused on my parents. 100% did a great job with me in terms of respect and how to do things and communicate. All these things, like I 100% did a hell of a job with me. Before I came into crypto and before I went full time with this and before I went ahead and bet on myself, my parents wanted me to continue. My dad was a guy was like, listen, you got a good job, you got a good career, just focus on it. You don't need the headache of running your own thing. Just continue to continue to get that check and why have the headache and know this. And I remember, at the point where I said I'm leaving, I'm going to resign from my job and I'm going full in on this. And I remember exactly when it happened. I was driving and I called him up and I told him exactly what I'm doing. He said, I was expecting him to say, no, you shouldn't. But he said, you know what? I do believe you've always been successful. So I believe that you will absolutely do well here. And if you don't, you can always go back to your previous. So I believe you can go ahead and dominate. And that the first time it was shocking that my dad, I expected a totally different answer. It was kind of like when Rocky 2, when Adrian wakes up out of a coma and she's like, do me a favor, Rocky, go win, kind of thing, allowing him to go by. It was one of those moments for me. I was like, yes. You know, it was like, okay, I'm already pumped. I know what I'm going to do. I'm somebody who's determined. I am determined. I am on a mission. I'm going to win. I'm going to win at all costs. I'm competitive. But when you get that approval, which I don't know, like some people say you don't need approval, but like when you're close to somebody, like your parents, and when you're somebody who obviously you respect says, you're gonna kill it, kid. You're just like, that's it. It's a new level. It's a new level of domination. That's why I can't stop. A lot of this stuff. Like, remember when I talk about like show up every day? Like I show up every day, even if like today my body is hurting. It's not because of age. It's just like I was shoveling snow. 30 inches of snow landed here. I'm shoveling the entire time, and like today was one of those days where I was like, man, like I am like, ugh, like I just want to relax, hit the sauna, like I don't know, do something just to unwind. But then I said, you know what? People show up every single day. They make the commitment to watch me and my shows. I need to have the same commitment to them. That's my mindset. I really say that in my head. My mindset is like I have to have the same commitment to the sponsors that sponsor this show, to the people that come. You know what? Love the sponsors. Much respect to the sponsors. First comes, I have to make sure that I make the same commitment to the audience that shows up, that has showed up for the last 10 plus years to watch me dominate and also watch me grow. And I'm going to continue to grow, and you guys will continue to grow with me, and we are going to have a blast. And you're going to see a young man, right? And I'm talking about back then, there are people that still watch me, a young man, young, wet behind the ears, who came in here to grab a mic and look into a camera. You're going to watch me continue to grow and hopefully be proud of my success. And hopefully there's value, and hopefully the conversations make sense, and hopefully I do good with the platform that I build out. And again, and I got to show up here also obviously for the sponsors, but again, it's always for the audience that you guys make time to watch me. So I respect all you guys. I do. One of those moments where David's not screaming, David's calm, I don't really scream though. That's not anger, by the way. I just want you guys to know when I get pumped up, it's more so passion. That's never anger. To be angry, that's a bad life to live. To have animosity, to have it is what it is. Like people are gonna like you, people are not going to like you. Like if you're going to grow in general, I'm gonna say this for all you entrepreneurs or inspiring entrepreneurs. I'm gonna tell you one thing, and it's what I've learned personally. It's not what I've heard, right? When you continue to level up and you continue to go to the next level, you're not going to make friends, or the friends that you have and the relationships you have, they're gonna break because like you're trying to accomplish something bigger. You're trying to level up, and people won't understand you. They will completely right you wrong, and you have to understand like that shit's gonna happen because I'm going to a different level. I'm trying to go and level up in life. And especially if you run a business or your own brand, whatever it is, it's just you're gonna rub people the wrong way. It's just going to happen. And it's not because you dislike people or anything. It has nothing to do with that. Like you know, it's not disliking anybody. It's like you're on your own path. And some people might take offense to that. The real people will not take offense to that. Real people will see that you're building out, that real people who have experienced it also understand it. So a little tidbit for anybody who's looking to expand or grow, you know, obviously their own shit. But anyways, I want to give a shout out to every single body who tunes in every single day. I really do. I appreciate you guys. I don't know what moment I was having here where I wanted to, you know, the conversation about my dad, and all this, you know, other stuff, but it is what it is. You have these moments where the shit just pops up and you just like, you get to go ahead and talk in front of an audience that you've never seen in your life before. We'll be back tomorrow. We got guests this week. Okay. We got a lot of shout out to my guests that are going to come on a later date, but we got a lot of people that have rescheduled, obviously due to the storm and all that stuff. So respect. Yeah, yesterday couldn't get on here because of the storm. Maybe I'll do a double header. I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe I might do a double header, a show at 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and maybe do one night show to go ahead and just shoot the shit and talk about, you know, all the news of the day. So I don't know. We'll go ahead and figure that out. Shout out to the TikTok crew. Love the TikTok crew. Shout out to my moderators, Tech and Fran. Much respect. If you want to be a part of the DG team, just send me a DM. But you're going to have to go through Fran and Tech and Fran. You'll have to go ahead and go through them. They are really good people. They didn't need to go ahead and moderate the TikTok chat for me. They could have. Like I always tell the story about Tech, man. I don't know. Tech got to take on a lot of TikTokers, man. Tech got to. These TikTokers can come out again if I go ahead and start doing live streams on TikTok, and maybe I might do that. Maybe I just might do the live streams on TikTok again. You know what? I quite possibly might do 30 minutes every single day, and that will send the moderating team into having emergency meetings about DG is back. I want to give a shout out to Twitter. Shout out to Twitter. Shout out to shout out to Twitter. Shout out to, again, my entire audience. We continue to grow. We will continue to grow. I appreciate you very much. LinkedIn, shout out to my old coworkers that go ahead and tune in but act like they don't, but I see you guys when you go ahead and visit my page. And every other platform, we are very close. I know I say this all the time, but we're getting there. We're close. We're close to Instagram and Facebook coming on here, and that's another avenue where we have an audience which I think would love to go ahead and see the show and participate. So there you go. I'm done. Guys, I don't have a quote for you, but I will just say, just be good and be nice to people. That's really it. And if you don't like somebody, just move on. It's better for you and your soul. Have some closure and just move on and just do your thing, man. And continue to win and focus on yourselves and you know, and just do the work, man. That's it. That's really it. Breakdown episode 670, sponsored by Midnight, also by Cake Wallet, and also the official prediction market of the DG brand is Polymarket. So thank you. And on that note, I am out.